You're setting up your Dolby Atmos system wrong. The helicopters aren't flying overhead, the rain isn't falling around you, the explosions sound like they're trapped inside a box. Don't panic. Don't rip the speakers off your ceiling and don't return the receiver to the store. Let's fix all the frustrating mistakes together, starting with number 6. Secure links to all products mentioned are in the description. Let's go. Mistake number 6. Using the wrong cable from your television. This single mistake kills Dolby Atmos before it even reaches your ears, and almost nobody realizes they're making it. You plug an optical cable from your TV into your receiver because optical cables came with everything for years and they always worked fine. But optical connections physically cannot carry Dolby Atmos. The technology is too old. It maxes out at basic 5.1 surround sound, so your receiver never even receives the Atmos signal in the first place. You could have the most expensive speakers in the world mounted perfectly in your ceiling, and you'd still only hear flat, old-fashioned surround because the cable is choking the signal to death before it arrives. You need to use HDMI with ARC or eARC enabled. While standard ARC can handle compressed Atmos from streaming apps via Dolby Digital Plus, eARC is required for the uncompressed, lossless Dolby Atmos you get from 4K Blu-rays. On most televisions, only one specific HDMI port supports ARC or eARC, and it's usually labeled. On LG TVs, go to Sound, then Additional Settings, and make sure eARC support is turned on. On Samsung TVs, navigate to Sound, Expert Settings, and enable HDMI eARC mode. If your receiver is older and doesn't support eARC, plug your streaming devices directly into the receiver instead of the TV. The audio goes straight to the receiver without the TV getting in the way at all. The ZestKit Maya 8K HDMI 2.1 cable is certified for 48 Gbps bandwidth and specifically supports eARC for lossless Dolby Atmos pass-through. Mistake number 5. Skipping room calibration entirely. Every major receiver brand includes automatic room calibration, and most people either skip it completely or run it once with the TV blasting in the background and call it done forever. This is a disaster. Room calibration uses a microphone to measure exactly how sound bounces around your specific room, your specific furniture, your specific walls and windows. Without it, the receiver has absolutely no idea that your couch absorbs bass or that your glass coffee table creates harsh reflections. The speakers fight against your room instead of working with it. Denon and Marantz receivers use Odyssey. Yamaha uses YPAO, Pioneer uses MCACC, and Onkyo uses AccuEQ or Dirac Live on their newer premium models. They all work similarly. Place the included microphone exactly at ear height where you actually sit, not standing up, not on the floor. Turn off your air conditioning, make sure nobody is talking, close the windows, and let the system run its full measurement cycle. On Denon receivers, make sure you run Odyssey Multi-Q and select the reference or flat curve afterward depending on your preference. The Denon AVR X3800H is widely considered one of the best Atmos receivers available, supporting up to 9.4 channels with advanced Odyssey Multi-Q XT32 calibration. It can even run 4 subwoofers simultaneously if you're serious about bass. Some people run calibration once when they first set up the system and never touch it again, even after completely rearranging their furniture or adding a big bookshelf to the wall. The room changed, so your calibration is now wrong. Run it again whenever you move anything significant. Mistake number 4. Leaving your speakers set to large with the wrong crossover. This sounds like a boring technical detail buried in a menu, but getting it wrong destroys your bass response completely. Most receivers default to setting all speakers as large, which tells the system to send full-range bass to every single speaker. But unless you've spent thousands on tower speakers with massive woofers, your speakers cannot physically reproduce deep bass. They try, they fail, and the sound gets muddy and weak. The subwoofer you bought sits there doing almost nothing while your little bookshelf speakers struggle with frequencies they were never designed to handle. Go into your receiver's speaker configuration menu and set your speakers to small, even if they look big to you. The only speakers that should ever be set to large are true full-range towers with serious low-end capability. Next, find the crossover frequency setting. This tells the receiver which frequencies go to your speakers and which get sent down to the subwoofer instead. For most bookshelf and satellite speakers, set the crossover to 80 Hz. This is the THX standard and works for the vast majority of setups. For a subwoofer that actually delivers, the SVS SB1000 Pro packs a 12-inch driver and 325 watts into a compact sealed enclosure, reaching down to 20 Hz with tight controlled bass. The app control lets you adjust everything from your couch. Your bookshelf speakers will suddenly sound cleaner and punchier because they're not choking on bass notes anymore, and your subwoofer will finally wake up and do its actual job. Mistake number 3. Leaving height channels disabled or misconfigured. You installed Atmos speakers in your ceiling or bought up firing modules that bounce sound off the ceiling, but the receiver doesn't actually know they exist. This happens constantly. People physically install the height speakers, wire them correctly to the receiver, and then never tell the receiver what those speakers are or where they're positioned. The receiver sees something connected but has no idea what to do with it. The Atmos information in the movie just gets thrown away. Go into your receiver's speaker setup menu and specifically configure your height channels. Tell the receiver exactly what type of height speakers you have. If they're in the ceiling, set them as top front and top rear, or top middle depending on the placement. If you're using up-firing modules that sit on top of your front speakers, set them as front Dolby-enabled speakers. This is critical because the receiver processes the audio differently depending on whether the sound is coming from the actual ceiling or bouncing off of it. The Polk Audio RC80i remains one of the most popular built-in speakers for Atmos, featuring an 8-inch woofer and pivoting tweeter that lets you aim high frequencies directly at your listening position. Mistake number 2. Streaming apps not actually outputting Dolby Atmos. Your physical setup could be absolutely perfect, but if your streaming apps aren't sending Atmos audio, you're still only hearing regular surround sound. This is incredibly common because the default settings on most streaming devices and apps are not configured for Atmos out of the box. But before you touch a single setting, double-check your subscription tier. Apps like Netflix and Disney Plus currently lock Dolby Atmos and 4K behind their most expensive premium plans. If you're on a standard or ad-supported tier, you are permanently capped at 5.1 surround sound no matter what equipment you buy. No setting change will fix that. You need to be on the top-tier plan. Once your subscription is sorted, configure your devices. On Apple TV 4K, go to Settings, Video and Audio, then Audio Format. Make sure Change Format is set to Off, and then ensure the Dolby Atmos toggle under Immersive Audio is turned on. On Roku devices, navigate to Settings, Audio, then HDMI, and select Pass-Through or Auto Pass-Through. On Amazon Fire TV, go to Settings, Display and Sounds, Audio, Surround Sound, and choose Best Available. The Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K Max supports Dolby Atmos and costs a fraction of the Apple TV if budget matters. Inside the apps themselves, you also need to verify settings. Netflix buries audio options in the playback menu during a show, not in the main settings. Disney Plus requires you to check the details screen for each title to confirm Atmos is available in your region. Mistake number 1. Fundamentally wrong speaker placement. This is the mistake that no setting can fix and the one that most people get wrong because furniture and room layouts rarely cooperate with proper audio positioning. Dolby publishes exact specifications for speaker placement, and ignoring them means the entire sound field collapses into a confusing mess. Your front left and right speakers should form an equilateral triangle with your listening position, toed in to point directly at your ears. Surround speakers belong to your sides, not behind you, positioned between 90 and 110 degrees from center. Most people mount surrounds on the back wall because that's where the wires ended up, and now all the surround effects sound like they're coming from one vague location behind their head instead of wrapping around them. If you have 4 height speakers, they need to be in front of and behind the listening position, not clustered directly overhead. Dolby recommends front height speakers at roughly 30 to 55 degrees elevation from the listener and rear heights at 125 to 150 degrees. Putting all your ceiling speakers in a cluster directly above the couch makes overhead effects sound like everything is falling straight down on your head instead of moving across the sky. For ceiling installations, the Klipsch CDT 5650C2 delivers horn-loaded clarity with a pivoting woofer and tweeter that lets you aim sound precisely where it needs to go. They're more expensive than the Polk options, but worth it for dedicated home theaters. Taking just a few minutes right now to check these settings and speaker positions will completely transform how your system sounds. You spent real money on equipment capable of putting sound above you, beside you, and all around you. Now you're finally letting it do exactly that, instead of playing regular surround sound through expensive speakers that deserve better. Hit that subscribe button for Valid Consumer so you never miss another dead simple trick to get the most out of your home theater gear. Secure links are in the description. Stay safe and keep it valid.